We are live. My favorite time of the week, the Power Hour. This is a continuation from the last AMA. So I have the man, the myth, the legend, the trunk, and my man
Hi guys.
Ollie, who brings us all this crazy shit together. So I love guys. How are we doing this morning or this evening, depending on where you're at, Trunk?
Yeah, for me it's 8 o'clock in the evening, and I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for the invite and pleasure to join you.
Oh, absolutely.
Everyone, 8 a.m. from me here, so quite a little bit early from you, but I'm excited about what Dan has to say about today.
I'm excited too. There's a lot of awesome stuff happening with Flux and with Zelcore, and we want to wrap up. We have a lot of questions. If you have questions, you can drop them in the chat. We're streaming on several platforms, so any one of those platforms comes together in one spot. So just give us your whatever you're thinking, and we'll address it at some point. So we'd like to try to wrap up all those AMAs. So I want to thank the community. What excellent questions! Like literally, we sat down and went through these. These are well thought out and well curated questions, and those questions make a difference because that's how we build our communication. That's how we look at things that we can add to the project or things that we need to clarify. So, those questions are very, very important. And if we don't get to the entire encompassing part of your question, you're always welcome to DM us, and we'll put you in a group, and we'll talk to you till you feel like you're really comfortable with it. So that's our jobs, and that's what we're here for. So welcome. And I thought I'd start out by talking about some of the things that happened just real quickly for about 30 seconds to a minute, because we've had some pretty awesome stuff this week. So the major announcement was the very first major exchange that is actually going to list a parallel asset. That is huge. That is a big fucking deal. Why is that a big deal? Because anybody that's in the space and they come in and they use their Win Binance, Win Coinbase, Win FTX little comments, right? They don't realize the complexity of adding a primary chain, a main chain, to an exchange. By Bittrex listing Flux ETH, it was the very first kind of snap in of the ETH token, and people can start to trade, buy, and sell their parallel assets right on a major exchange. The other thing that it did was it opened up the opportunity for us to be listed on other major exchanges who maybe they're only taking Ethereum tokens, and that's a real issue on some of the major exchanges. I mean, as the cycle goes up and more projects pop up, if they have an ETH token, they're probably going to get listed. So we put ourselves in a position where not only ETH, but Binance Smart Chain, KDA, Solana, Tron, we can start to approach these folks who have this kind of more simplicity and plugging these assets in. So this was a big deal, and it was the first major event for a parallel asset to leave. And I can tell you, it was fun. I did sell like a 500 Flux on Bittrex just to see the process of taking it from Bittrex to Zelcore back to back through Fusion and back into my wallet, and it was pretty damn seamless. I liked it. So big news there. We had a Flux OS release to version 2.1.5. Had some goodies in there, and we are in the process. We'll talk more about this later on the AMA. We are in the process of getting ready for our Flux OS fork, and I'll let Tadeas explain all the glorious things this Flux OS fork can do. But I will tell you this: I know enough that I'm like, wow, this is a big deal. I'm excited for it. Well, I tell you what, if you're running a node, boy, you're making out like a bandit. KDA is on fire, and congratulations to the KDA team. I'm really super happy for them. Super happy for all of our Flux holders as well, because not only did we hold the line, but we're going to continue to keep growing and releasing things. Our partner projects, especially as we work together, it's really awesome to see these things kind of grow. And hey, if you're running a node, you're making some more money there as well. So we have also got some news later today about new partners and new opportunities to make some money. So especially for nodes. So congratulations to KDA, congratulations to node holders, and congratulations, of course, to this Flux community, because we kick ass and take names. Another announcement that came out, massive one, was the 30 and 30. So post OS fork, when fork trunk, right? So trunk hasn't heard that a few times. December the 1st, Flux Claus is coming to town. It's Fluxmas, all right? We are going to do 30 dApps in around about 30 days. We got to give our guys time off for the holidays in there. So you'll have to excuse us around, Christmas and New Year's and things like that. Give us a little bit of time. So they wouldn't be exactly concurrent days, but we're doing 30 and 30. We're gonna rip through this. And these dApps are game changers. These are high level, these are well developed, they are productivity suites, they are games, they are just new technology, maybe even some social media pieces in there, which is kind of cool. And we're really going to rip through a nice 30 on 30. We have some really good suggestions. One of those suggestions actually was built by one of our community members. So I'll be excited to share that, because this guy never coded before, and he ended up getting ready to launch something on Flux. So that's pretty awesome. I think we lost Trunk, Ollie.
I'm still here, just my.
Oh, it's your camera. We're gonna take up a fundraiser for Trunk to get a good camera set up. He loves laptops. He wants another laptop, especially an Apple book or MacBook. He loves those.
Nope.
All right. And we had a nice video come out from your friend Andy. It's part 2 of a 3-part series, and it was specifically around Zelnodes and Zelcore, and it was excellent. He does one of the best videos in terms of education that I think I've ever seen. So if you haven't watched it, it's in the announcement channel. Please check it out. And then brings us up to today. So Ollie, let's do some questions, buddy.
Sure. Let's do that. Let me post the first question here.
While you're doing that, I'll just mention that we're going to upload both of these AMAs, part 1, part 2, to Spotify, iTunes, so that if anybody wants to listen to these again or share them and say, hey, listen to this, if you got somebody that's interested in the project, they'll be uploaded probably later today.
All right, so let's go with the first question. Now, the first question is, any news on node operators running FIRO nodes and Presearch nodes getting rewards in doing so?
Yes, we have news on that. And Trunk, what can I say?
You can say everything.
Okay, go. I like it when you let me go like that. It's coming.
It's coming pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
This will be surely done in early November. You will see a nice button inside of your Flux OS. We call it Marketplace. And inside of the Marketplace, we will have a simple option to run some predefined applications. A couple of those applications will be like a Presearch node and FIRO node. So you'll be able to spawn your Presearch node and FIRO node with just one click. Just enter your registration code or your node key, and you are ready to go.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It continues to build out the use case of why our computational network is so amazing. And one of the things that Trunk and I and Parker and the team have talked about before in the past, Vulture and all of us, is figuring out different ways and different opportunities to earn revenue, because we believe that eventually dApp creators will earn revenue, node operators will earn revenue. It's going to be a very interesting revenue generation model that Flux continues to kind of iterate to. So I'm excited about it, and it makes the value of having nodes even more important, because you'll have these different revenue opportunities to make. And the other thing is it gives post fork, we have the ability to work with a lot of different people doing a lot of different things. It's not just full nodes anymore or nodes. We're talking about running key level infrastructure. We're talking about the majority of Zelcore's infrastructure is going to be running on Flux. There's still
Yep.
always components that you have to have separate, but yeah, that's a big deal. So pretty excited for that.
Yeah, November will be full of updates. We'll actually have 2 forks in November. First will come very early. We are talking about 1 week to 10 days from now, which will enable UDP ports, number of instances you want to have, and also we are adjusting the prices of applications downwards, so 10 times less.
10 times less, baby. We're gonna be the cheapest in the game, and be the biggest, be the cheapest, or be the best, and we're all three. How about that, Trunk?
Yeah, so that will be the specifications of applications version 3, while the version 2 and 1 still will continue to be supported and running. And version 4 will bring some sort of Docker Compose when you can run multiple applications on the same instance and they communicate with each other. So that will be coming late November. And finally, we will be able to offload our infrastructure on the Flux. So pretty exciting.
It's been like watching. If I imagine what the Egyptians was like when they were building the pyramids, the foundation was laid, and we're sitting back and we're watching it, and Trunk's crafting out the last few blocks for the peak. You know, it really is kind of like that because we've laid this foundation for the past 3 years, knowing where we wanted to be at the end. It's kind of like, you know, reverse engineering what we knew the end point before we knew the beginning point. So it's really very cool to see how these things have materialized. So I get goosebumps when I start talking about it, like literally, because this is our, like watching a child walk for the first time, because this is crazy. So, all right, next question, Ollie.
All right, next question is, so it's talking about, are the Flux node passive income like Strong? So it seems like Strong is another project.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, we do this thing in our community and everywhere else where we don't necessarily diss other projects other than ICP because they can suck it. Long story short is I personally don't feel like Strong is necessarily nodes, right? So do your research, make sure you get understanding on what you're getting into. The Flux nodes are passive income. You know, Warren Buffett said, make money while you sleep, or you sleep, work till you die, right? Boom. So, you know, for us, I think I want to say, you know, the majority of these nodes are really making good money. I haven't checked it in a while. I'm scared to, because I know it's going to be up and I'm going to be excited. I'm going to want more nodes. So I've been trying to stay away from it a little bit till I finish building up my bag and that I want to put into nodes. So, so the short answer to your question is it is passive income. The long answer is it is at passive income, but it's nothing like Strong. So no negative knock on their project or anything, but do your research, figure out what you're providing, figure out what the lockups are, figure out what your rewards are. Make sure you do the research on all of these projects. Got it? Good.
All right. Next question is, any news on storage nodes?
Trunk, that's you, buddy.
Oh, cool. So we are still in the process of research, but we are way more advanced than we've been 2 months before. We actually know how to do it, how to do the private networking of IPFS and the sharing of files. So there is a progress, but it will not be coming as soon as you may imagine. So we are more talking about Q1 of next year. That's basically a short answer.
Yeah, I'll give you from a business standpoint. We are working with multiple people in the space. If I said their names, you'd know who they are. There's lots of opportunities. A lot of these things we were waiting till post fork. So once post fork is done, that's going to give us a lot more ability. Like, you know, if we, in the grand scheme of things, we're going from driving a nice Hyundai Sonata, right? That's what we're driving. It's practical. It gets you there. We're adding stuff to the current dApps. We're getting ready to go into a Ferrari, right? And we're getting no Lambo because of you know, they're overkilled. But a Ferrari, you know, and we're ready to roll. So it's going to speed up the process that we have working with partners, and it'll also show them exactly what we're capable of, and that's a big thing. Like, they like to see things work. These proof of concepts out there that have a white paper and a dream, they're not going to get, these partnerships aren't realistic. You need real partners that are going to put stuff on your infrastructures, and that's where we're targeting.
Yeah, and that's where we are ahead, because Flux actually can have persistent storage, right? That cannot be changed, unlike other projects where the data actually can get deleted. That's the edge of Flux.
Yeah. Hey, a big shout out. We broke the record for number of people watching live, just so you guys are aware. So it's nice to see the community coming out. Maybe we'll do them on Sundays from now on. Maybe they like Sundays. All right. Well, there you go. All right, Ollie.
Yeah, next question is, somebody said, I don't know what is Flux and what projects are there in Flux and how Flux will run in this market.
If you don't know what it is, you're going to have to go do some research. I suggest you start out on Run On. I'm not going to explain to you what the project is because, well, we'd be here the entire AMA. So what I recommend is you go out, look at the Run On Flux website, look at our Medium. Our Medium is a treasure trove of what Flux is. Parallel assets, Zel ID, two-factor authentication, you name it, anything you want to know about the project. There is even a primer, we call it a primer, to start a new user coming in and wanting to learn about Flux on the Medium. So that's where I would start. And yeah, so you're gonna have to do a little research there, VH, but it'll be well worth it in the end.
All right. Next question is, will there be a beta of proof of work? It just sounds incredible.
So the way proof of use will work is now is we are in the process of formulating a white paper around how we believe proof of use will work. It looks different than the way that MIT and some of the other folks, and we are working with the folks from MIT to get information from them of what research they did. And we're starting to formulate a group of individuals, not even in Flux, but in crypto itself. We have some commitments from some pretty big players that want to help, and they see this as a problem that can be fixed. And Flux has always, they've always delivered what we say we're going to deliver. This one might take a little longer. So I always tell people when they're asking about proof of use of work, it's like, well, Rome wasn't built in a day. Although we've built some pretty awesome shit in a day, this one's going to take a little longer. But the end result will be a very good one, and one that I believe not only will benefit Flux, but benefit every single GPU mining project out there, because there's the ability for them to adopt our algo as well and be able to use it on their projects. So this, in the end, this is the biggest part of the project we've ever looked at. And Jeremy Anderson, who is was one of the original founders, he was one that actually, I believe, minted the first Raven coin. He's going to help lead the project. So we're going to have myself and Jeremy Anderson and Trunk and a bunch of other people that I'll announce at some point in time, because it's going to be a good one when I announce it. But these are people, tech leaders in the space, and not necessarily even in the crypto space. So think about that. We're looking for opportunities to work with Folding at Home and other platforms where we can provide, rendering power from those GPUs and that network and our node network. We're already doing kind of proof of useful work on the node side of the house. It's just tapping into those GPUs, which would be huge. So it would definitely solve a major issue, a quandary that Satoshi Nakamoto had about proof of work. And that is, what do we would do with all this energy, all these resources, other than validate transactions? And that's where proof of useful work comes into. So it does sound incredible. It is going to be a lot of hard work. I'm not going to shit anybody about it. It's probably the biggest thing that we've taken on. The good news is that I believe we have the team to do it. So where others have failed, I believe we're going to push through. So nobody believed we'd have deterministic nodes the way we do, and we did. So I think this is a little bit bigger, but it's going to be fun. Anything you want to add, Trunk?
Got a good summary, so go ahead.
All right.
So next question, I think we already talked about it. Just want to have a quick answer here, Dan, as well. To get Zelcore Plus features there to store 5,000 Flux, now the price increased. Is there any reducing on the Flux?
It's a hell of a good problem to have, and it actually, we talked about it on the last AMA. It fixes itself because my good buddy and Trunk's good buddy Vulture told us the other day he's almost done with being able to manage your nodes in Light Wallet, which is, wow, you would talk about a game changer. I am so excited about that because I hate full nodes like you wouldn't believe, right? And I am going to stand everything I got up on that light node side. And that takes care of the issue for node individuals who are currently putting their nodes into full nodes and they're not quite catching Zelcore Plus. The other thing we're looking at, so that fixes it. But the other thing we're looking at the staking for a service overall. What does that look like? How are we going to do the next iteration? And we have some really cool ideas, and one that I don't really want to get into here because I end up spending quite a bit of time talking about it. But how do we provide use this flux that's held in Zelcore as almost like a liquidity pool, and then you get services for that as well. So and you could possibly see a payout someday. So we're very well aware of the challenge with the 5,000, and I would say that's going to get fixed as soon as we launch that, light node management, and then you're going to get credit for it. So boom, you got it.
All right. So next question is: does Flux have plans to capture the additional hash power that will be released once another crypto, which probably is ETH, known for its higher fees, goes to proof of stake in a few months? I think you're already capturing, right?
Oh yeah, we're already capturing, and not only that, the focus that we have put on 3 gig cards, and you can still mine Flux, and even some of the new cards come out, and I can't remember which card it is that basically limits the hash that you can use on ETH. Well, that doesn't affect us on Zelhash. We basically can do what we want. So a lot of these people who are buying new cards, logically, when they put them in, we're number one because they're not being throttled, they're not being backed down. So if you look at the beginning of the video here, we're very well aware, and I think they moved it till next year. I'm thinking. I think it's in the beginning, well, I don't know. It's been going on for 4 years, so as long as I can remember. So it could be at the beginning of next year, but I think you're already starting to see people research and understand where they're going after ETH, and some of them aren't waiting. Some of them have already started moving. So yeah, our focus is to be number one.
And also the addition of the parallel assets rewards on top of mining just the Flux gives you an extra right there.
Yeah, I don't think people understand that yet quite how that parallel, and we're doing a really good job to explain it to the miners. And What to Mine, the guys at What to Mine are fantastic. Real protector of the space, very good guys. We have to prove these things, how these parallel assets work before they'll ever add it. But people, I don't think, understand the power of mining in the past, right? It's like if I was Trump trying to explain that shit to me was like I was like an alien. I was just standing there looking at him. I'm like, I don't even comprehend. So you're telling me I already mined this since this date? And yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So as more people become more educated, as more people begin to understand that dynamic of what parallel asset mining is, there's no competition. If you would take truly on What to Mine and you would drop all of our parallel assets in it and the past assets, and you bring it together and you show it as the way it is, there is no project out there that's even close to us. So when you're mining for the future, you're mining for the past, and that's insane, and that is wonderful. And I can tell you, I'm a pretty happy camper every time I can claim a snapshot, and I'm sure everybody else is as well.
All right. So next question is: will you ever change the algorithm so that we can gain more miners? Pretty much talking about the AMD perspective.
I'll say something and I'll turn it over to Trunk. I think the perspective of it is that AMDs are not successful with the current algorithm. But if you take ETH out of the equation, I believe they're still successful. It's just like somebody with a 3 gig card, right? It isn't optimal, but it works, right? And as the value of the asset is about value of the project increases, and by the way, you add your parallel assets to it, it's pretty damn lucrative. So I would say we're probably not going to mess with Zelhash until we're ready to go to proof of useful work, which I'm seeing that a couple years away. So I think ETH will be, well, it is ETH. They could be getting ready when we're ready to go live, but I don't see us changing anything with the algo. I think it's very very well done, and it's unique, and I think we're going to keep it till we move to proof of useful work. So we're not going to mess with that. But once we move to proof of useful work, I think there's lots of opportunities for other cards to participate, because kind of the way we're looking at proof of useful work, it isn't necessarily, I can't get too deep into it, but there is a difference. We're going to look at GPUs as GPUs. We're not going to necessarily look at them as individually different types of GPUs. I can't explain more than that, because I'd have to be able to show you in a kind of like a layout how I'm envisioning it. So yeah, I'd say we're leaving it alone. Trump?
Yeah, there is no need to change mining algorithm once more time, right, before we transition to useful work. It's a fork, so any consensus change to the Flux network is a fork, and there isn't a need for that from the network perspective.
Sweet.
All right, next question. I think you also covered last time, but just a quick, are there any plans for a lower node, for example, when the Flux price will increase?
Well, you guys have really kind of kicked us in the ass in terms of, the soft scaling has been an absolute success. Like when we envisioned the parallel assets and what people would do with the parallel assets, we all agreed. We thought that the majority of these individuals would go over and they would stand up more infrastructure. Well, holy shit, we didn't see this coming, right? Like it's everybody is standing up new infrastructure. So we acknowledge the fact that we need to set something up for our entry level individuals who want to come in and they want to make a little decent return. They want to participate with the network. What that looks like, I don't know. I think there could be in our very near future, next year maybe even, I don't know, a node happening where we have the collaterals. Well, then that would move the node reserves down. So I would say if you want to run a node and you're only sitting at like 3,500 and you want to get to that 10K, I would say work real hard, because when you hit that 10K, you're going to get 2 nodes. So it's hard to say how we map out the halvening, but essentially it's going to work kind of a little bit like what Bitcoin does, kind of like what Flux does with our halvening. It's going to increase demand. It's going to be less supply. And guess what? I hate to say it. Your requirements are going up too, because we're scaling the network. So, but the good news is the price goes up too with it. So you're getting paid more for more. So like somebody like me that's running a bunch of nodes, when the halvening comes, I'll run a bunch more nodes times 2. So it is really kind of cool. But I would say this: you can't wait till the 11th hour to look at this and say, hey, I need to get a bunch of Flux because I want to run 2 nodes. You need to start working on that now. And mine with your mind. Come in and earn some Flux in the Flux Discord, man. We're always giving a little bit of Flux out for people that do things for the project. Participate in the project. Become a moderator. We need moderators. They get tipped here and there. We have the Flux Army, which is in Discord, and then we have the Flux Army, which Bad English T runs. Simplest way to earn Flux: go do something, make something, be part of the project. So kind of cool when you think about it. But don't wait. You heard it here first. They'll eventually be having these nodes. So if you want 2 nodes, you got to work to that 1. Anything else, Tron?
Flux was designed to scale in 2 ways, right? One is kind of the fork of Flux OS itself, where we simply increase the requirements for hardware. And the second way of scaling is reducing the needed locked collateral, right? For example, halving the needed collateral. In that case, we will have, let's say, 2 times double the amount of nodes, right? Whereas when you increase the hardware requirements, you have more raw power. So yes, we will surely lower the requirement in a foreseeable future, just to have more nodes on the network to satisfy the demand that application needs. So yeah.
I'm excited about it. And we were talking about it the last AMA when we kind of hatched this idea in the back of a car cruising down the road. And it was like, wow, we didn't know that like our pie in the sky dream idea that we were coming up with was going to end up being so popular, and we were going to have to institute it. So it's kind of fun to dream, and then instituting it is work. So yeah, that's good.
All right, so next question is, so the new parallel assets announced are Ada, Ava, Poly, Atom, but it's written under review. Does that mean it's not stone set just yet? What are potential alternatives?
Drunk, you can take this one.
Sure. So it's not stone set yet. That's a correct way to say it. We don't know how the space will look like in the next 3 or 4 months. Right? We are launching Tron and Solana in mid-December, and the next snapshot will take place in about February time. So the space can change drastically within the next 2-3 months, and maybe we'll see some projects skyrocketing, and the demand for that different chain will be huge. So in that case, Flux will be in the need of launching parallel asset on different chain than the ones that were announced or are under review. Also, it's up to the community as well, right? If we see a huge demand for some new coming chain, let's say this Cardano, then it will be the favorite one to launch on.
Yeah. I would add this, I think there's nobody in this live chat and all this other stuff that doesn't understand that blockchain is super dynamic. Nothing static here. So what we pick today may not be what we get to in 6 months to a year. Technology advances so rapidly. We've had to deviate multiple times from where we thought we were heading in one direction with one project, and then here along comes this other project that just blows it out of the water, and we're like, well, wait a minute, maybe we need to take a look at this. So we say under review because that leaves it kind of open, like Trunk was alluding to interpretation by not only us but the community to add input, and I think that's super important. We don't commit ourselves to, overall. All the platforms, whether it's Zelcore or Flux or whatever it is, we're not agnostic. We're agnostic. We don't necessarily care who has the best tech. We want the best tech, so we'll follow whatever that process is. So yeah. And if you haven't done so yet, hit the like button and the share button. I don't want to sound like one of those YouTubers, but just do the like and the share for me so we can get this out to as many people as we can.
All right, so next question is, so what are Flux's biggest competitors and what is our unique selling point?
We talked a little bit about this in the last AMA, so I'm not going to get real down into the weeds. I don't feel like we have competitors, and I know people have challenged me on this in the past. I think we're so early on in Web3, and we're so early on in these decentralized computational networks that other projects motivate us. We see opportunities. We see things that we're doing better. We see things that other projects may be doing better, but we're learning from that. So in the end, AWS, Microsoft, all these different platforms, Google, they can exist in the same world. Our thing is we're going to be different than the majority of those. And we did it inherently from the beginning. We kind of, like I said earlier, we reverse engineered. We said, where do we want to end up and how do we work to that point? So there's not a lot of projects that I'm aware of that actually do what we do. Akash is more of a redistributor of technology. ICP is an absolute shitcoin. And, you have these other platforms that they want to get there. Their intentions are good. They believe that they're going to produce these products. Do your research, And when it comes down to it, figure out if you can actually launch your platform in a decentralized manner. Where are my nodes being ran? If it's being ran in 2 data centers, it's not fucking decentralized. So you have to remember these things. Do your research. So I don't think we have competitors. I think we have opportunities. Trunk, what do you think?
Well said. Well said. Yeah. The decentralization really matters and will be more important every day, right? You don't want your stuff to be censored or controlled by someone dictating you what to do or what not to do. So it's a great time to enter the field.
We're in a very unique time, and we're in the right place at the right time with the project. I mean, I just sat the other day and was reading more about these deplatformings where people were being removed from, social media platforms for posting fact-based science. Like these are things that it's meant for debate. It's meant for interaction. Like it's meant to expand our minds. And when we start to see people controlled and decentralized, you see the challenges that came with Facebook. And now Facebook wants to know your fucking financial records. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, sure. I definitely want to use Facebook for all that. I mean, it's terrifying. And Flux has positioned itself right in the perfect space where large companies, large organizations, or autonomous organizations, right? So that's the big thing is when you start to see companies that are autonomous launch these things, we've positioned ourselves very well. So our ethos all on the team is we may not be from a market cap the biggest and the baddest and the best. But in reality, when it's all said and done, and this stuff starts to shake out, we become the most logical project for all of these platforms to work with. So, I would say I'm very excited, and I am very confident where we're positioned right now. We are Web3, hands down. Sorry, rambled on a little bit there. Go ahead, Ali.
All right. So the question is, will Flux have ambassador program?
So we kind of already have that in an unofficial way. It's because we're a decentralized based community project, we don't necessarily have like a paid ambassador program. And by the way, I hate those things because I get so many DMs from aggressive individuals in this space. The nice thing about the Army is they're very well educated. When you deal with the Army, they know what they're talking about, right? So I would say the Army is our arm of our ambassador program. Their content is well written. Their team is well educated. They don't go in and start, they'll state facts, right? And they'll win the arguments or win the discussions with facts. So I would say we already have that is the Army. If you're interested in being part of that, I suggest you reach out to Bad English Tea. We just broke the record again for most views. Which is awesome. Sundays, we're moving to Sundays. But you can definitely go out and reach out to Bad English Tea, P Talks, Flux 101, those guys, and they'll get you into the Army and earn some Flux for educating yourself and educating others about the project. And if I catch you on there acting like an asshole, you're out of there.
All right, so next question is, are devs for Zelcore and Flux the same people, or are there different devs for Zelcore alone?
Yeah, I can take that as kind of the CTO of both companies. Flux and Zelcore are different companies, and they are mostly different people developing Flux and different people developing Zelcore. But some are shared, right? For example, me, I am doing both for Flux and Zelcore. There's Walter doing work for both Flux and Zelcore. There are some marketing people doing work for both Flux and Zelcore. So there are two separate companies, two different teams, but some people are shared amongst both of the projects.
Yeah, and this goes back to before we rebranded, we sat down and we did a Mighty Mind meeting. We thought about how we wanted to approach this moving forward. And one of the things is this group is very agile, right? We're very engaged. We create these sprints, right? So they're not long meetings where you sit there for hours and lament over laborious bullshit details. We assign the sprint to an individual. That person then goes out and works on it to formulate the answer, brings it back with a either a proof of concept or actually a working product. And then we decide as a team how we want to approach that. Well, the big thing was when we were in these process of discernment, right? We realized there's this cross opportunity between these platforms, but there's also we need to have separation. So Parker actually is the operations officer for Zelcore, but he still works in the Flux capacity, right? So he still comes in and works in Flux. As Tadeas was saying, he spans both sides of the fence. I span both sides of the fence. We have a CEO. We have lots of devs on the Zelcore side, and we have a different business model than what we do on the Flux side of the world. So the Flux is community project. It's more oriented with community. It's more involved. You guys know a lot of times before it ever fucking happens what it is, because I've already talked to you about. On the Zelcore, it's a little bit more not secretive, but a little bit more compact on how they design things, and then they kind of dump it out. It's like, their updates are like crazy because they come out and it's like, oh my god, this is a game changer. So yeah, we're all one. Our developer meetings are held together, but then we have agile meetings as well. So the sprints are maintained by the other team members, if that makes sense.
All right. So next question is, can Trunk give us a sneak peek of Flux post fork?
Well, we kind of already did that, but if anything else you want to add there, Trunk?
We can just recapitulate. So there will be 2 forks of Flux. First happening in the very early of November, first week, and second happening in the end of November. The first one will include UDP support, number of instances, and price changes, like 10 times cheaper. And the second one will include binding of applications together, so kind of like a Docker compose on a Flux level.
Yeah, another big thing is Little Stash is working on this, and I've seen kind of the first iteration of it, but a developer's toolpack. So that's actually what Jetpack is on our roadmap. Is to we want to basically turn this thing loose for developers, because once we lower the price, it makes it all like literally almost free. And not only that, is if you're developing a particular app and you want to go through XDAO, you can get paid to do it. So it changes the dynamics. I mean, we were doing pricing structure the other day for, we had AWS up there. We had, all these different VPS providers, and we lined it up and we looked at it and we're like Flux is so cheap. Like nobody would even understand it. Like they couldn't comprehend. Now, are you telling me I can spawn 3 servers for like $1 or something like that? I don't know what the exact money was, but yeah, that's what we're telling you. And not only that, if you do it really well and you go through the XDAO, the community likes it, you're going to get paid. So that is a game changer. And if once we launch Jetpack, get that in people's hands, the developers' tools, I think that's going to be huge.
Yeah, Flux prices are extremely competitive now, right? But post the fork, there will be no competition.
It's not even in the same ballpark.
That's the goal for it as well.
And one of the questions that somebody's going to ask is, they're going to say, if you're giving it to people for so cheap, how do you make money for the project? Well, you got to pay for it in Flux. And as Flux continues, and what we found out is a foundation, we keep it cheap. We allow people to come in and develop their infrastructure out, and then we gradually increase as the market would allow. So, we're not gonna give it to you for $1 and then 3 months later come in and say it's $5. We're not going to do that. People know the project, and we know that we would rather see the development of the technology. So I would rather get $1 from everyone than get $5,000 from one dude, right? So this is a big deal. It's about getting the project out there, and a lot of times, think of it this way: when you enter an early beta in a project, right? You usually get it for free. They give it to you for free. They look at it. You determine whether you give input, you give changes, and then eventually they build a project out. And then once that project goes to the release candidate, then you buy, right? So it's kind of the same scenario. We're not looking to make money off this, like charge an arm and a leg. We're looking to increase the value of the utility asset of Flux, develop the platform out the way that it needs to be, and scale appropriately. So that's that.
All right. So next question is: does Flux self-police unethical apps with the XDAO, or how would this work?
Trunk, you can talk about the whitelisting process.
Yes, current model is done through whitelisting. So anyone who wants to stand up an application on Flux network should submit a pull request to official Flux repository, and the team will review it. And we always accepted it so far. There is about 40, 50 applications that were accepted and are running on the network, and it's very fast, right? We respond within hours. But we realize that this process is a bit more centralized, right? There needs to be a Flux member going and checking the application. So in the future, we will plan to utilize the isDAO process and let actually the node operators vote if the application is legit or not, and if they will allow this application to be run on the network. There needs to be a governance, right? You cannot just go and launch some very bad stuff on the network. So a governance is needed, and a decentralized governance is the goal.
Yeah. So it's not. There is an air of centralization to it at this point as we continue to grow. We've done this with everything. We want to make sure from a compliance standpoint, and that we're meeting all the criteria. The reason why we really want this to get to the XDAO eventually, sooner than later, is to allow the people that are controlling the network and dedicating to the network. I mean, it would be like you wouldn't put something on there that would risk or jeopardize your job. And essentially, that's what these decentralized node operators are. It's their job. So I think it's really super important. I think we lost Drunk, but I'll just keep going.
I'm still here.
Okay. You're just freaking me out, man. You're going away and then coming back in.
My video is over phone and audio is through the computer. So, but I will expand on that as the XDAO launches, the decentralized authentication or organization, and the node operators have a chance to vote, they will be even incentivized to vote and review by the protocol, right? Because the applications are paid, right? The people that launch the application pay the network, and where the rewards should eventually go, right? It will be spread amongst the people that vote and participate in the voting process and approve the applications as well. So it will be an important piece of Flux.
Yeah, that's a good point today. And I think that, and your camera's still messed up. I don't know if you know that or not. I think that, if we're at 9:48, Ollie. So if we run a little over today, I'm okay with that. If Trump's okay with that.
I'm fine.
Okay. So, the end goal is to have XDAO controlling that piece. I think I take it a step further, and Trunk and I discussed this, and I don't necessarily know that we'll have to come to an agreement at some point, but I do feel like we need to get to a place where we have a percentage of the network that's allocated for individuals to bring small projects in. I don't want to have to, if I want to stand up a server and I want to run, a file server or whatever the scenario is, do I really want to go through the XDAO every time? Okay. So, I think it has to be grown out. We have to have a high level of control on the XDAO and what is running on the network. And I say we, the community, right? But I also think too that we have to look at technologies that allow us to allocate a portion of the network to resources. So if somebody wants to stand a node up quick to maybe do a rendering project or whatever the scenario is, that we're not micromanaging that. So we're realists when we're looking at that. We want to make sure this network is available for the biggest businesses out there and for the smallest guy who just started his business. So we got a lot of work to do. The XDAO is going to have multiple iterations. The next iteration is going to take some pieces into play to address some of these issues. So lots of really cool opportunities.
All right, so next question is, as Flux increases in price and becomes more attractive for hackers, would it be possible in the future to host a node with the collateral stored in a cold wallet?
Well, your lockups for your network are not stored on the network, so I don't necessarily think it would be advantageous for a hacker to even look at that. The majority of the majority of what we're seeing people testing the network at is they try to skirt the benchmarks, which is why we're constantly releasing new OSs, and this will be forever, right? This will be forever. The benchmark will be a constantly iterative process. As people find loopholes in the network, we're going to be working to patch it. It's just how technology is. Patch Tuesdays for Microsoft, for instance. It's never a one and done with this scenario. But I think as we we have gained more attention, but the majority of the individuals attacking the network are the white hats. I have not yet, maybe one or two black hats that have tried to do something and not got away with it. But I think it makes more. It's just like when Satoshi Nakamoto talked about 51% attacks. It's more valuable to participate in the project and use the project and mine than it is to try to 51% attack the project, right? So their energy, the time they spend, the collateralization that they do to the nodes, all these things, you have to take that into account. And, you're better off running your node and getting your rewards than you are sitting around trying to code ways to screw with the system. So, I look at hackers as opportunities because it makes us stronger as a network. It makes us stronger as a project. And, we have a bug bounty. So you can make a lot of money, trying to probe vulnerabilities because of the bug bounty. We're also in CVE, which is a bug reporting system. So there's lots of stuff in place to do that. So yeah, I mean, attention always brings the nastiest of the nasty at times. So, but we're ready for it. Trump.
Yes, I will go back to the cold wallet. You can basically already do that, right? We support, let's say, YubiKey. You can store your funds on YubiKey, store your authentication there, and it depends on your definition of cold wallet. Maybe you refer to hardware wallet or some that's coming. This support for Trezor is coming soon. If you want to have just your private key on paper, you can have it, right? Just start up your node, and the node is running for forever or until it crashes, right? But you can have your Flux node running from a cold storage.
Yeah, the other thing that I figured out the other day, because we've been getting beat up about the whole Trezor Ledger things, cold wallets, being able to store it off, on a cold wallet. Well, with the advent of Fusion and Verified, you can actually store Flux ETH on those platforms because it's an ETH-based token. So in a roundabout kind of way, we now have Trezor and Ledger support. So actually my ETH and, a lot of these different ones, you would just move it from the main chain over to the parallel chain and plop it on your cold device. So lots of ways to protect yourself in that area.
All right, so next question is, so how much time does devs on Flux commit to Zelcore? Wouldn't it slow down Flux development more, especially now that we're running for the Web 3.0?
Well, we kind of talked about that. So Trunk kind of explained the breakdown. The devs are dedicated to the different projects. And matter of fact, we even have a dev that's we're working on a revamp for Coin Request. And we have a dev that's dedicated to that as well. So, I would say there's opportunity and synergy on both of those projects and cross-pollination. So moving from one spot to the other spot. But everybody has their marching orders. They run in two different areas and they pull together when they need to.
All right, so next question is, with all the NFT craze going on, does Flux have any attempts to join in through different apps, launching an NFT marketplace that uses Flux for payment?
Everybody knows not everybody, but a lot of people know how I feel about NFTs, right? So I'm not a super big fan of NFTs, the way that they're currently implemented. I think the way that Flux and Zelcore is going to implement it is more strategically and long term. The value of NFTs is immense. It is very frothy, and there's a lot of FOMO around it right now. And we tend not to align ourselves with things that are big cancerous. And at times, NFTs can be that now. Perfect example is what we did with DeFi. When the DeFi craze was raging, everybody's like, when is Flux going to get into DeFi? And we're like, we're going to do it when it makes sense. And I would argue there's not too many projects out there that are doing DeFi like us. I mean, our parallel assets are available on just about every single DeFi platform and continue to grow daily. I've just got some input from somebody the other day who was saying about some different components that they're adding Flux in the DeFi world. So, I think logically, NFTs need to take some things into consideration. We're working with Huplife to look at how we can do this. We're looking at what are the legal implications. So if I'm an artist and I do a painting and I produce an NFT, right? But somebody else takes a screenshot of that exact same thing and they sell 50 of them, right? It has devalued my initial investment as an NFT. Yes, I hold the original. And you could think of it a little bit like, a Monet. I have the Monet originally, right? And then these guys made screen prints of the Monet. There's legal issues all over the world around copyright infringement, around, the artist being able to be rewarded for that, right? So I think in the end, NFTs are really used in two different ways. Non-fungible tokens, too, if anybody doesn't know what NFTs are. I think they're used as what like Huplife is doing, a managed and curated platform where the artists are actually the leaders of that platform, and they're being compensated for the use. Maybe it's a video. Maybe you put one of my videos on as an NFT. Well, I don't want me floating around and being resold. So there's lots of components there that need to happen. The second one, and then Trunk, I'll turn it over to you if you want to add anything else, is how NFTs are currently managed. And Flux is looking to fix not the front end marketplace solution, but the back end storage with our Infinity contracts, right? So how do we keep an NFT in perpetuity? And that's the value add, right? It's very precarious at this point. You got the actual smart contract, and then if it's audio video, there's JPEGs and video files that are kind of linked to that precariously. And there's no guarantee whoever's hosting that is going to be able to control that, right? You're going to be able to control that, not your keys, not your Nifty, right? So you want a platform that's not. So you see Zelcore coming into the equation as well. So I believe you'll be able to, buy and hold and trade, right out of Zelcore, right? So, that is logical. That's how it is. So, and Flux would be the back end that basically maintains that infrastructure. And that's the Infinity contract piece. That's how I see us entering the Nifty space. And maybe it's not as pretty and frothy and FOMO-y as everybody else, but it fixes a problem, a really big fucking problem. And that is, how do we host these NFTs in a decentralized manner in perpetuity, right? Infinity contracts. How do we engage the end users so that they can use NFTs the way they're supposed to? Buy, sell, trade, hold, show your buddy at the party that you bought a cypherpunk thing, whatever. Okay. That's Zelcore. And then kind of bringing them together with Huplife so that we understand the regulatory compliance in all of the different areas where these things are going to come into play. So that was a very long answer, and I hope you like it. But Trunk, if I missed anything, toss it in there.
It was a very long answer, and I think you said everything in it.
All right, so let's take this last question. Then we have to draw the 100 Flux giveaway as well, and then let's take this last one here. So are you planning on creating educational content regarding how to deploy in dApp using Flux nodes, websites, and so on?
Well, we have a lot of content out there, Lewis. I think that we don't do necessarily a good job at bringing it all together, but I will tell you that Ryan Islink and Greggy Bear are both working on a very well-developed wiki that will run on Flux. And what we're trying to do is pull all of that data together into one place. So I think within the next month or so, I think you'll see that wiki really highly developed and build out. And then what we have to get used to doing as a team is pointing people in that direction. A lot of people just want real simple answers really quickly. They don't want to do the research or the work to go out and do it. This project isn't that. You're going to have to put the sweat equity in. You're going to have to do your own research. You're going to have to go out and figure these things out because we don't have time to handhold. So, we're going to provide that wiki. You can, let's face it. You've got Medium. You've got the websites. You've got the wiki. You've got YouTube, which has great stuff. Volter and his videos. And just good content. If you can't find it, or if it's scattered everywhere, right, it's harder for a new user to say, give me this. So the wiki will be searchable. Install new node. Boom. Here's 2 videos and a write-up about it. Okay, cool. That's what I need. So we're working on that component as well. But I'll put an asterisk at the end of this. This is not a project where you can't educate yourself. You have to. The ecosystem is too fucking huge. It's everywhere. So you have to take the time. You have to educate yourself. You have to make sure that you understand these pieces. And when you come with a question, right, it better be well formulated moving forward because we're growing so much and so rapidly. We're not going to be snobby, but we're going to be real. And the other thing that we're working on is instituting a service desk. So it's going to look different how you get support in the future, Flux and Zelcore side of the world. So we want to create a knowledge base so that we know what's happening and we know what frequent questions people are asking. So it helps us create a better service for them. So if they come in and they're like, can't find information about starting a node, we know that, and we get this 50 times, we know that, by the way, the help desk is going to run on Flux, which is going to be cool. Yeah, you're going to know it. All right. So, a lot of things there. Educate yourself, learn about the project, go look at those things, go to the website. Everything is linked off there, and then we'll work on the wiki. And then
I believe there's a lot of tutorials there. And registering an application on Flux is very simple. You can go to home.runonflux.io, and there's register application button. Just click it, and there is a walkthrough guide. Just fill a few fields and deploy it.
Yep. I think that in the end, we've been so successful at building out what we could because we have a very educated community, and we are looking for more moderators. So if you're interested in becoming a mod, reach out to Ollie or myself, and because we are looking to expand that. And as we roll out the help desk, we're gonna need additional resources there. So if you want a little side gig making some Flux, answering service questions, reach out to us and let us know. So not everybody all at once because I won't get back to you. But I would like to do, Ollie, before we do the giveaway, right? How are we doing this now? Everybody, you have a list and you're just going to randomize it, right?
Yes. So I have about 206 responses with addresses. So I'm going to pick up a random winner. And then we do still have a lot of...
We need to fix that next time because we need to make it go live when this AMA goes live because I want to give it to the people that are on this AMA. I don't want to give it to people that's just signed up and didn't come.
Well, so what I mentioned earlier was you got to be on this AMA to win. So I'll announce the winner.
Okay.
And if he's not here, then we'll move to somebody else.
Damn, Ollie, you're so good. I felt like I found a flaw in the system and you blow me out of the water. So before we do this drawing, I want to give a little bit of an announcement, right? So I kind of promised everybody that we would be announcing something today. You're going to see a lot more about it. Tomorrow, information starts to come out, and the release will be next week sometime. But today, do you want to announce it or do you want me to?
You are the announcement guy, so go for it.
I am the announcement guy. That's like the best thing in the world. I love telling everybody all the good shit. the next version of Zelcore will have the very first iteration of Eve, and bigger than that, you're going to be able to buy crypto with Apple Pay, which is fucking huge. And I've seen it. I've used it. It's amazing. Trunk has done a just amazing job of how he's integrated this. But you're going to get a first snap. Like, remember when I talked earlier about Zelcore? When their releases come, you don't necessarily know what it's going to be, but it's going to be awesome. And Apple Pay is a big deal. It's going to make it really super seamless. It's a full integration with Wire as well. And the first stage will be able to buy your crypto directly. And Trunk, is there any way you can show them a little sneak peek of the screen?
Do you have an iPhone with you? You
can maybe show that. I do. Oh yeah, yeah. Hold on, let me do that. I can't do that. Anyway, we'll post it in Discord. But long story short is it's right there in your face. It's super easy to do, and we counted. Trunk actually counted the clicks, and it's like from beginning to end, it's 4 clicks. You can also store your information locally. So if you want to go back and repurchase and it pre-fills your info, no problem. I mean, and it doesn't send any of your information to a second server, which is, in a world of decentralization, we love that, right? Don't keep your shit for other people to see. So that Apple Pay comes, it'll be coming next week. There'll be a couple different iterations of it. And our target goal over the next month or 2 months is to get direct purchase for Flux. So we're working with Wire. We're looking at some options, and you should be able, in 4 clicks very soon, be able to just go in there and buy Flux and start your nodes. So congratulations to Trunk. You dude worked a yeoman's work, and he loves spelling errors. I will tell you that. But the Zelcore team is just amazing. And I think the next AMA that we're going to have, Tim Tully's going to join us, the CEO of Zelcore. So yeah, that'll be fun. So, we'll have some fun there, and we'll learn a lot more about Zelcore and what Zelcore's doing in their plans. So we'll go a little bit away from the Flux world, and we'll go a little bit into the Zelcore world. So Ollie, have at it, buddy.
All right, so let's do this. So the winner is right there, Elinas with the address ending in 9XC.
Elinas, are you on? You have to say claim.
Yeah.
Tag. All right, going once.
Maybe there is a delay.
Yeah, there's a slight delay. So let's see if we have a winner. Let's see.
I'm getting a lot of DMs about this shirt. We're actually getting ready to launch a swag store, and in partnership with Seth Estrada. He has put some stuff on Amazon. So if you go on Amazon, you can get I think all of our t-shirts, but we're going to kind of build a little part of the website that's going to be able to get swag. And one of these things are these, and it's kind of badass. You can't see it, but it actually has Zelcore.
The Dave is Alina.
Yeah, looks like we have a winner here, right here. The Dave, that's the guy.
Awesome, Dave. Grats. All right, guys. It's been another great AMA. I probably could stay on here for about another 2 hours because I love chatting about this shit. But we'll do another AMA real soon. We'll bring Tim on. And Tadeas just said that he'll gladly do an AMA a month with me now. So you're going to see a lot more of Tadeas. He didn't actually say that. I just conned him into it. I just conned him into it. So he's like a legend now in these things, man. So he has to be here. So we'll do once a month. We don't want to take up all his time, but it'll be fun. So thank you everybody for coming. Like, share this, and see you in the community. You guys are awesome. So take it easy.
Yep. Thank you very much for joining in.